Okay, hello everyone. Right away I want to thank you for coming back to my channel for another video. Today we are once again talking about commonplace books. Specifically though, we are talking about what I believe the value of creating and keeping a commonplace book is. Because I really do think that keeping a commonplace book has helped my learning process, and it's for that reason that I want to share it with you. So right away, I'll ask that same age-old question that I know the algorithm is just dying for me to get to, which is, why do I think this video is worth your time? Here is why. I think this video is worth your time because I want to help you actualize your full potential and achieve your goals. Whatever that might mean for you, I've designed this video to that end. And I think most young people are done a serious disservice by not being taught about the far-reaching benefits that keeping and creating a commonplace book or even just a journal can offer them. So that's what today's video is all about, the value of creating and keeping a commonplace book and how I think it's helped me. So I want to give you some idea of why I think creating and keeping a commonplace book can help us get closer to achieving our goals and actualizing our full potential. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I teach 1 or 2 reading and writing intensive undergraduate courses at Johns Hopkins University per semester, and I try to encourage my students to keep or create a commonplace book whenever I can, because it's a way that I can kind of get them engaged with writing beyond the classroom. A writing class is great, but it only lasts about 3 months, and then the students are on to their next course, on to their next semester, and I want to try and give them a way that they can use writing for a prolonged period of time outside of any academic environment. I think that that's how the value of writing can really be communicated and sustained, by kind of getting somebody to develop a writing habit that exists independent of any academic environment. And when I try communicating the importance of creating and keeping a commonplace book and the value it can offer, I basically give them a couple of examples. The first might sound a little abstract, but I'm hoping you'll stick with me because I think it's an especially unique way to think about a commonplace book. I tell my students that one of the primary benefits of creating and keeping a commonplace book is that it offers us the unique opportunity to find ourselves in a piece of writing that's of our own creation. So I want to share a quote with you, and it's a quote by the famous French modernist writer Marcel Proust, and it is as follows: "Every reader, as he reads, is actually the reader of himself. The writer's work is only a kind of optical instrument he provides the reader, so he can discern what he might never have seen in himself without this book. The reader's recognition in himself of what the book says is the proof of the book's truth." Okay, so why do I share that? I share that because I want to give you some idea of how I think about commonplace books and the creation and maintenance that goes into a commonplace book. I think about it as kind of like an archetypal example, or it can offer an archetypal example of what books do. And I say an archetypal example because it's the communication between reader and writer is a single person. So that's kind of what I mean when I say that it offers us the unique opportunity to find ourselves in a piece of writing that's of our own creation. But again, I know that this sounds kind of abstract, so what do I mean? It isn't something that is going to be started and finished in a single afternoon, for example, and I think there's a serious value to be found through willingly undertaking a task that demands a significant amount of time extended across many months, if not years. But what's the value? I'll tell you what I think the value is, but let me try to use an analogy to communicate what I believe to be the value is. For me, what I'm about to say is a pretty common experience, and I've talked to plenty of students who feel the same way. Imagine, a song from some earlier point in your life, something you listened to hundreds, if not thousands of times. If you were to listen to that song right now, what do you think would happen? Now, I'm not asking because I think something, objectively profound is going to happen. I don't think listening to that old song that means a lot to you is going to make the sky open up, but something will happen. The song will likely bring you back to an earlier time in your life. You'll remember any number of different sensations from the moment or moments during your life when you spent the most time listening to the song. Music and art more generally it colors our experience, it colors our memory. And what I'm trying to communicate, the reason I've made this analogy in the first place, is that I think something similar can happen when we give our time to the creation and the maintenance of a commonplace book. So this is what I'm trying to get across. A commonplace book can be whatever you make it. It can be like any other notebook, for example, or it can be something more. My approach to my own commonplace book is that I'm trying, although admittedly not always succeeding, to create a work of art. I'm trying to create something that's uniquely helpful to me and beautiful at the same time. And my experience has been that this approach requires a significantly greater investment of time, but at the same time, it's what offers or can offer what is potentially a greater reward to the person keeping the commonplace book. It's a way of kind of personalizing the information that you put down, and in that way I think you're put in closer communication with those ideas that really interest you and kind of are possessing you. And it brings me back to the Proust quote, which is, you kind of are in a better opportunity to find yourself or find the maybe most enjoyable pieces of yourself in the commonplace book that you're keeping. And I think in that way it kind of produces a similar effect that, what I mentioned about the song, the meaningful song that you listened to, years ago, the writing that we see when we revisit it, it can take us to an earlier time in our life. And I think that's how we can use a commonplace book to learn more and to learn deeper. So the next thing I'll talk about is that it can help us, develop our writing ability. Okay, so this point isn't all that exciting, but I do think it's important. So why is it important? It's important because it's basically a guarantee. Like I've said before in other videos, you don't have to spend an hour writing in your commonplace book every day. It can be as simple as 10 or 15 minutes a day. And here's the thing, 10 or 15 minutes a day seems like a pretty insignificant amount of time. And honestly, it is. But it's only insignificant when you think about doing something for like 10 minutes once. But the value of doing something for 10 or 15 minutes is that it's easy. And easy, I think, oftentimes translates to maintainability, at least in theory. And if we can set aside a little bit of time every day, and I think everybody has 10 or 15 minutes that they can set aside, the return we get will compound when extended across a significant amount of time. And what that compounding return looks like is this: we will become better writers. And let me repeat that. If we write every day, we will become better writers. And again, I'll say something else that I've mentioned in other videos. Writing is a more sophisticated form of thinking. That's how I think about it. That's how I communicate the idea to my students. And for that reason, improving our ability to write is synonymous with improving our ability to think. And doing the work that's necessary to become better thinkers, to improve our ability to engage with the world around us in real time, is the kind of skill that follows us wherever we go. So creating a commonplace book isn't just about creating and maintaining the physical commonplace book. That's not where the value ends. The process can make us better thinkers. And again, that's the kind of thing that stays with us even when we put our commonplace book away. It follows us when we, go out into the world. And I say this because it's something I always try to remind myself when I have doubts about, the time that I'm giving to my commonplace book and wondering whether or not it's even worth it. It keeps me from feeling like I'm just wasting my time, knowing that there is something that's kind of objectively valuable. Hopefully that doesn't sound too cruel, but what I'm trying to communicate is that even if, you have some questions about the value of keeping a commonplace book, it's kind of what I think of as being one of the most enjoyable ways to become a better writer, which in turn translates to becoming a better thinker. And I think that is kind of a universal skill that grows out of the simple act of keeping a commonplace book. Maybe a better way of saying it is that something that's kind of tangible in a way happens as a result of the time that we give to our commonplace books, even if it isn't exactly measurable. And I think as far as what the value of keeping a commonplace book is, I think that this is about as valuable a thing as we can ask from any endeavor. But okay, that's everything I've got. Before I go, I want to thank you, my wonderful viewer, for sticking with me to the end. If you found this video interesting or useful or helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.